Hi there, and welcome to this week's vlog. Now, this week I want to share with you some words from two people I've been reading about. The first is from former MP Alan Johnson. Now, I must got to confess that whenever I saw him on telly, I wasn't all that impressed by him. But I've just read his autobiography, which I found fascinating. He grew up in quite a poor area of London. His dad left the family when he and his sister were still quite young. His mum, as then a single parent, had to cope, really struggle, looking after the kids, trying to get work to get some money in. Support from the absent father was very intermittent. For long periods, there was nothing. So it was a real struggle. And Alan Johnson writes very movingly and very evocatively about those years. His growing up as a young lad, and the struggles that they had. His mum, from time to time, was quite poorly. In fact, at some times she was in hospital, and Alan Johnson, his slightly older sister, had to cope on their own. So it was a real struggle. But I really enjoyed reading the book, and I want to just quote from one paragraph from his book. The book is called This Boy, really well worth reading. And he talks about a time when his mum died. He was then in his young teens, his sister a few years older. And now, obviously, the dad was still not on the scene. Mum had died, which caused them real heartache. But this is what he wrote about the funeral of his mum. It was the first funeral I had ever attended, and I was bemused by its rituals. None of the adults who now surrounded Linda, that's his sister, and me, people from the undertakers and the crematorium, had known Lily. So none of those who were there had really known Lily, that's his mum. None of them had been with her through her travails or offered her help when she needed it. Yet here they were now, respectful and solicitous, when it was too late. So there were those people who come to be there for Alan Johnson's mum's funeral, Lily. People came to pay their respects. And yet, through all the periods of trial in her life, where were they? They were not there. When she desperately needed help and support, there was no one there. And that really spoke to me about... my experience is that at funerals, you see people there, and maybe some of them could have been there for that person when they really needed it, or people come to a funeral saying, what a great person that was, I really appreciated them. But did they say that to the person when they were still alive? That's the big question. Do we tell those we love and appreciate that how much we love them, how much we appreciate them while we still can? Don't leave it till it's too late. And then on the kind of similar theme to that, I was reading a little bit about Deborah James. She became Dame Deborah James. You may remember her. She was a journalist. She hosted a podcast. She was a charity campaigner. She was diagnosed with bowel cancer, and she had this podcast with others. I can't remember what the podcast was called, but it was 3 or 4 women who all had cancer, and they were sharing their experiences, trying to encourage others. Anyway, I read a little bit about what she'd said before she died in June last year. She had a really positive effect on people when she was doing that podcast with the other ladies. Anyway, she wrote about how when she'd been in her working life as a journalist, she'd been quite a workaholic, that she'd go off very early in the morning, get back latish in the evening, and so hardly saw her kids. And she bitterly regretted the fact that she hadn't spent more time with her children as they were growing up and developing, and with her husband, of course. But so she said that having cancer had helped her to reassess the priorities in her life. And she said, I wish that something else, not cancer, had helped me to reassess my priorities. Anyway, this is what she apparently said. It's this incredible roller coaster that I'm still riding, and facing life-limiting cancer is one thing, and then realizing that your life could end in the next minute is something utterly different. I think it's a really stark reminder of don't leave things unsaid on a daily basis. It's quite amazing how much you wish just for another sunset or another cuddle or whatever it is. You can't leave things until tomorrow because there just might not be a tomorrow. Isn't that challenging for us? Sometimes we think maybe I should call so-and-so, or maybe I should write to so-and-so, or spend some time with such and such a person. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. And we find we're putting off until tomorrow. Maybe, who knows? None of us knows when the end of our earthly life is going to come, do we? Are the things that you're putting off, I'm putting off till tomorrow, that we need to do today to show love to someone, kindness, spend time with someone, tell someone how much we appreciate them? Well, that's my thought for the day, and hope you find that thought-provoking. I certainly do. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening today.